Hello and welcome. You're watching Head to Head on UATV. I am Oles Gerjuk. Today we're talking about the ongoing debate around the bill Buy Ukrainian, Pay Ukrainians. It was approved by the Parliament during the first session. Despite having a very pleasant and patriotic name, the bill has drawn a lot of criticism from the Ministry of Economic Development. The governors are afraid it will ruin the Ukrainian economic public procurement system ProZorro. So what is the stumbling block? To answer this question, we are joined in the studio by Vasyl Zadvornyi. He is CEO of ProZorro. Hello and thank you for coming.
Hello, nice to be here.
Could you, for the beginning, could you list some specifics of this bill?
Well, actually, despite of its really patriotic name, Pay Ukrainian, Buy Ukrainian, it's much more about pay for us, buy ours commodities. So it's the bill contains the really big mathematical formula, which really puzzled me despite of my mathematical education. It contains approximately 15 different variables by which suppliers should prove that their service or their commodities is much more Ukrainian than those of their competitors. By implementing such kind of approach, we will create a system where in order to sell with a 43% more money, you should provide approximately 23 additional documents in order to prove that your good is more Ukrainian than other ones.
So the price will get increased by 43%?
It might be increased by 43%, exactly. So if you bring, for instance, the piece of bread, and so do I, and I would like to sell my bread for 1,000 of hryvnia, and you would like to sell you for example, 999, so you will won the auction. That's how it works right now. And what is proposed in the bill, that if I, in addition to my bread, will provide you 23 additional documents with the stamps and signatures, which will definitely be issued by some of governors, then you can sell. Then I can sell my bread with the price of approximately 1,400 hryvnias, and I should be selected by the customers because I will prove that my bread is much more Ukrainian than your one.
But that doesn't make any sense to buy more expensive product.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade and the suppliers and the representative of non-governmental organization and Kiev School of Economics, for instance, they raised their voice in order to stop this issue. Mm-hmm. By the way, we conducted as big marketing research for our suppliers within the August and September. And the first critical issue of current public procurement area within Ukraine that was highlighted by all suppliers was the fact that suppliers should provide an amount of documents much more than they should do in the private procurement area. And in a constraint with the suppliers' strictly articulated needs, the guys from the parliaments would like the suppliers to provide much more documents than they should do right now.
Well, what do you think about these documents? Is this mechanism clear enough how to apply for the public procurement, or could we face some trouble while issuing?
Let me be absolutely clear here. So I got a technical education, I got a mathematical education, and even for me it's really hard even to remember all these 15 variables that were included in this formula. Moreover, the lawmakers propose to have a ban for 90 days if you will make a mistake in even one of these documents. So, for example, you should prove that all of guys who were involved in the producing of your goods were the residents of Ukraine. So come on, starting from the CEO to the last employee in your company, you should provide all this type of information.
This is increasing the bureaucracy that we are trying to fight.
Absolutely. This is only increasing the bureaucracy, and another consequences of such law is creating a corruption scheme, absolutely clearly.
Yeah, because business will be dependent on the institutions.
In order to get all these 23 documents without any single mistake, you should ask someone who will provide you such kind of references without any single mistake. And I mean, I'm absolutely clear that they already have a price list and like a GPL price for these references, like buy 23 references and get 24th with a discount. It's kind of that.
So how do you think, what interest do MPs follow by voting for this kind of bill?
Well, as for me, it looks like absolutely clear. It's only supporting a big oligarchic groups that really get some issues with the current situation within the public procurement. For instance, approximately half of our suppliers are newcomers. They didn't took a participation in a public procurement previously before the ProZorro system. So definitely competences increase, and it's much more difficult to get all their monies. And because of economy that was stimulated and created by the ProZorro system, all these guys got less money and less money. So they just trying to increase their income. So as for me, it's absolutely clear.
What happens with the competition? Please clarify.
Competition increased after the starting of the ProZorro system, because new businesses, new suppliers came to this market. Because I mean, we opened the market, we make all the data absolutely open and available through the via the internet, and that's why. From the approximately 128,000 of suppliers who attend right now the public procurement in Ukraine, approximately 54% are newcomers. So they didn't took any part in a public procurement before 2016, before the starting of the ProZorro system.
How would this buy Ukrainian, pay Ukrainians change, influence their competition?
Absolutely, directly it will decrease it, because the competences increase just because of one single really important thing: building the trust between the business and the government. The public procurement area was all the time seen as a highly corrupted, as a synonym of corruption in Ukraine. And what we are trying to deal with is to build the trust between the government and the suppliers, is to demonstrate that the government can pay, that the government can conduct the procedures on a fairly manner. And by implementing such kind of mechanisms that simply allows someone to sell the product with the increased price but still won in an auction, it will just ruin this trust, and it will just get back us to the previous situation, to the 2013.
I understand. Well, this bill itself claims to give preferences to Ukrainian producers. Could you tell us how often Ukrainian producers do need this protection of the government? How often do they win public procurements now?
Oh, that's a funny story, by the way. Based on the ProZorro's data, by the way, these data are absolutely open, and you can check my words with like 5 minutes spending before the public business intelligence tool, BI-ProZorro.org. So you can see that despite of procedure type or a moment of the year or months of the year, the share of Ukrainian-based companies in a public procurement area is no less than 99%. In both amount of money they get, they sign contract to, or amount of procedures they want. So again, 99%. And there,
so basically we buy Ukrainian.
Basically we buy Ukrainian. Basically we deal with the Ukrainian companies, and it's much more difficult and much more challenging for us to involve international companies into the Ukrainian market than to the secure Ukrainian ones.
Why is this more challenging?
Again, because of trust, because
they do not want to deal
we need to
with
build the
Ukrainian.
trust. And again, talking about supporting Ukrainian producer, I often use such kind of analogy. If you would like the government to support the sportsmen, what you would like, what would you expect them to do? You would expect them to build the stadiums, to build the swimming pools, to conduct competitions, to introduce some kind of prizes, and so on and so forth. You do not expect the government just to give the money to those who can prove with their 23 documents that he is real Ukrainian sportsman.
That's
right.
And
what the MPs would like us to do, just give more money. Again, it's we are talking about 43%. So it can lead us to extension of budget spendings up to tens of billions of hryvnias.
And that's burdening the taxpayers.
Yeah, again,
us.
so the government doesn't have its own money, it's our money.
What about Ukraine's international commitments? Does this bill go along with them?
Yes, it violates also our international commitments.
So it doesn't go along, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't go along. It violates our international commitments as well.
Which ones?
An agreement with the World Trade Organization and an agreement about association with the EU as well. So it's a funny story. I mean, 4 years ago, everything started with the declining of President Yanukovych to sign the agreement with the European Union about an association. And now we are trying to adopt a law which will directly violate such kind of agreements.
What steps are you taking to stop MPs from voting?
Well, we conducted a huge research within our suppliers. Again, it was really easy to do because the ProZorro is an electronic system. We got all these contacts, and we just behave as a pure product company. So we got a tremendous amount of responses. Approximately 3% of whole companies who took part in a public procurement in Ukraine.
3%.
3%, yeah, gave us their response in 2 days. It's like a huge amount of answers and a really big precisely of results. And approximately 75% of suppliers respond us that such kind of law will lead only to the corruption scheme and to the decrease of competitions. We are increasing amount of awareness within the Ukrainian market. We definitely work with our MPs in order to correct the statements which was put in the law.
So you try to correct the bill, or do you try to negotiate with them not to vote for the bill?
We just try to stop it. So basically, nothing can be done in order to correct. It's not about the single mistake. The whole idea is wrong. So we are trying to deal with the MP in order to stop this bill, and that's why we conduct an interview with the suppliers and with the customers. We're involving international society in order to stop it. And again, the consequences might be really terrible. So we can ruin just the one of the Ukraine success, the reform of a public procurement area.
Well, let's see what happens during the next hearing of this bill in the Parliament. And thank you so much for this conversation.
Yeah, thank you a lot.
That was Vasyl Zadvornyi, CEO of ProZorro, electronic public procurement system. Thank you for watching Head to Head. I'm Oles Gerjuk. Goodbye.